line of thought without addressing a couple items. One thing that I was really pleased with, and I'll just say it again, Mr. Robbins, is that the budget was geared around the strategic plan. Comments have been made about strategic plan. I think it's awesome. I'm very pleased. You know, 30,000 is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket of what most cities do, and so that's why it's not as in depth in the formula, and the specific steps were not as detailed as we would like them to be. Mm-hmm. I know that, you know, you can compare with as many cities as you want, but if you're only investing 30,000, and I got a lot of pushback from some people, and the reality is, I think that we have done a tremendous job with that and tying the specific goals of the 6 goals of the strategic plan to the budget. So I appreciate all the staff doing that. The number 1 was public safety, and number 2 was the downtown, and I can go on through the 6 points. But the fact of the budget being tied to the strategic plan, and that the things that we're adding of anything additional ties to what the community and the strategic plan had addressed. When Mr. Skipworth had identified, when he said something about unfunded liabilities, my understanding is that we are funded for OPEB, but we really don't have the unfunded liabilities. Is that correct, Ms. Eden?
We are making the payments to where we are funding that liability.
So we have no unfunded, as it has been said, but we no, I'm not you, but I'm saying there are some people who are saying that we're unfunded and all this. We are online with any escalation that we have addressed. I just want people to understand the PERS is being addressed. We don't have anything unfunded. We're not going to balloon and suddenly go under. That we have addressed it as it has increased.
That is correct.
Thank you. You know, when we talked about the employee reduction, I mean, there's many ways of looking at that. And since 2008, when you lose 272 employees, a lot of that has been done through attrition. It's been done through reorganization, but also through efficiency. When you look at the departments that have had those merging, and we've eliminated a lot of the duplicated positions. So instead of having duplicate supervisors and duplicate all the different chains, by merging them together, you've eliminated positions that were duplicating and becoming more efficient. I think the bottom line that to go along with the budget is that there are 3 main things that are our job as a city council, and I think the community needs to be aware of that. And the first one is a balanced budget. That is our job, is to make sure that we present a balanced budget to the city so that the staff can incorporate that and move forward on what the desires of the community is. The ordinances that you saw tonight, all the some tedious, some very uniform, as well as some new things that we do. You've seen those throughout the years. Ordinances and policy, because we are policy makers. We are not micromanagers, and we do not run the departments. And that's really important aspect that this council has made very clear, is that we will not micromanage. That's not our job. Our job is to hire the city manager and make sure that he is following through on the policies and the staffing and the budget that we implement, and that is his job and all the organization. So when we talk about making the changes within the organization, people may not like it. That doesn't make it wrong. Change is not always embraced by people. And, you know, I know that there were some hearts that went out to some of the employees. We all had a difficult time. And those that were involved with the process, it was not an easy thing to do when you let anybody go. It's not something that we looked forward to doing. But when you have to do a balanced budget and to make sure that all the needs within the community, the best we can do with the information we have at this time, and that is the highest cost is employees. But at the same time, the advantage we have at this point now is we have a strategic plan that has been addressed, that has been accepted by the community, accepted by the council, and everything's tied back, and so that gives us some direction. And the other one is the city attorney. That is the other job of the council. We only have 2 employees that we are responsible and accountable for, and that is the city attorney and the city manager. And however we do that, you know, whether we do an in-house city attorney, which we did a year and a half ago, extremely successful. I think sometimes we don't share how successful that's been, and highlight that the opportunity is not always just a bottom dollar. We took the dollars that we had already budgeted from Best and Krieger and we are spending significantly less by bringing in-house attorneys. Now, you have that with that in-house ability by having somebody here on a daily basis that you don't call up and sit there and hear cha-ching. And I'm sure our directors here can attribute that they feel more confident having somebody here on a daily basis that they can go to, ask questions, and it's not waiting till there's already an issue and then have to hire an attorney. A lot of those issues can be resolved before we get there. In addition, we have the opportunity of having an in-house litigator that we don't have to wait for it to be in litigation, that we can create some opportunities to save a lot of money, which we have recently on a lot of cases, whether it's in public works or it's in HR or it's whatever the department is, police department. You know, we've significantly lowered that by working with employees as well as the attorneys. And I think those are things that are not captured on what you spend on a city attorney. And so there's misinformation going out there, and I just want to say I'm pleased with the city attorney's department and very pleased on how we have lowered that. That is our job. We were dictated to have cost savings, and you know, there's no smoking gun, there's nothing, you know, we're out here, we have done everything until someone tells us that we're not. We have done what you've told us, and that is to give a balanced budget, to spend less dollars, and still offer services within our community, and I think that we really have done a good job. Now, when we were talking, Mr. Skipworth brought up about outsourcing, which is something that I had said before, but a lot of what we are not able to do and dictated is by the state, being a general law city. We are not a charter city, we're general law, and everything we do is dictated by the state. And that was why when we had HR 29, which was a resolution by the Assembly, trying to tell us that we can no longer outsource, that was why I brought that to council, and we did a resolution in opposition of that, because to be more effective, we have to be utilizing other ways of getting things done. And with HR 29, they were telling us to limit the outsourcing. You can't do both. You can't have a city not be able to outsource, or otherwise you're going to bankrupt it. And I think that it's really something that has been best utilized in this organization, is giving business to the community. I mean, that's what the country should be doing, is building businesses, because they're the ones that are funding what we're doing. So by giving more work outside the organization, you're paying less pension funds, and you're giving more business into our communities. So I'm pleased that we are moving forward with that. And in regards, when you were talking about the special funds, I felt where you were going with that. Mr. Daly, we have, you know, we always talk about the audits that Ms. Eden's doing, but you have a whole separate audit with the DWP, isn't that correct?
The current utility authority is audited.
Right, and so, you know, when there's ever the question of merging funds or using and misappropriating funds, that's very public and is not able to happen. You track your dollars to the T.
All the funds are separate, kept separate and audited by a separate independent auditor. All DWP funds as well as general funds and special funds, transportation funds. All funds are audited in the city.
Well, so those of you who are interested with more questions, we vote on the budget in 2 weeks. I hope that if there's any questions, that you would come, ask those questions instead of giving out misinformation, because we're here, we're open, we're transparent, and we want to make the information available to you. Ask your questions. I know that Mr. Robbins has met with many of our community and passed them on for various staff to answer all the questions, and you know, please ask the questions. As I said, the budget dictates what this organization does, as well as anything that we do throughout the year. So I just want to thank the staff for all that they've done preparing the budget. It was very comprehensive, a lot of work, and I know that this is going to be another great year. So thank you. Just real quick, congratulations to all the graduates. We've had a tremendous amount of graduations within our high schools are all done now, as well as many of the colleges are finishing up. And I won't go through any other dates. And the last thing we'll end this, and that is Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. because we won't be meeting till after that. So enjoy your day. You only get the one day. And with that, we're going to adjourn to our next council meeting, which will be Wednesday, June 18th.